Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Miller here for your 4.1 notes. So we're going to look at writing equations in slope-intercept form. So we're kind of continuing with our identifying slope-intercept form from chapter 3. So as you can see here, our warm-ups are finding the slope. So the first one I'll go through again with you. I'll give you the second one to check and do on your own here. So again, slope formula, basic slope formula is a divide sign, and we are subtracting. It is the rise over the run. The rise means it is the change in your y's. So that's where we have the minus. That means the change. So our y values go on top, and then our x values go on the bottom. It does not matter which one you put in first. I usually do the second one first. So my y is 0, and my x is 4. And then I plug in the other part. And again, I do the formula. I put in just what I see. So it's a -1 that I see, and then a 2 on the bottom. Then manipulate any of your symbols from there. So being able to find that slope, which we've been doing pretty well so far, we're going to continue to use. So I'd add, I get 1 on top. 4 minus 2 is half. And again, remember, from our previous section, m is the letter we use to let us know that we have slope. So again, I'll let you do the second one there on your own. Here, we're going to look at, and the whole focus is writing equations in slope-intercept form. So like I said, we've already dabbled in this a little bit, where we have been giving you the slope, we have been giving you the y-intercept. So putting those together here, we're going to elaborate on that. So for our first one here, if they give us our slope and they give us our y-intercept, that's all I need to write in our slope-intercept form, which remember our slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Again, m stands for the slope, the b is the y-intercept part. So if I'm substituting this in, and they've given me all the points that I need, all I need to do is just substitute that in. So y equals, my slope is 4x, and then I have, it's supposed to be plus b, which I'll go ahead and do that, plus b, and b is a -3, and then yes, just clean that up. So we only have one symbol, so y equals 4x and -3. And we have written the equation for that. So, like I said, we're going to elaborate on that in this section. So one way to elaborate in that is giving you 2 points. So how do you come up with an equation from a graph? So here we have our 2 points. Again, remember, until you get really good at this, we still have some people switching them around. First letter, or first number is the letter x. Second one is the letter y. You always graph the x, count that first. So for example, here x is going nowhere left or right. So I'm just going to go up on the y-axis 2. So 1 and 2. And I'll go ahead and put that on my graph as well, labeling my points. X is 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 1 for the y. So we get 4 and a -1. And again, we're looking for this equation of this line. Oops, line is off just a little bit there. Looking for that equation of that line. So some things we need to get from this. We need to know what the slope is. So we always need to know what slope is. So what is our slope? And then what is our y-intercept? Those are the 2 questions that we have to solve. Sometimes they're given to us. Sometimes we have to do a little work for it. In this case, the y-intercept is given to us. That's where it crosses the y-intercept. So my y-intercept is 0, 2, which we will just use that as a +2. So my y-intercept information is already there. The slope, we can use our slope formula on these points, like we just did up here in our warm-ups. That's one way to do it. So again, we've already practiced that. I just want to show you a different way. Again, if you have a graph, you actually can count your slope, ladies and gentlemen. So count from one point. So I'm going to start here at my 0, 2. How do you get to the other one? And remember, when you're counting your slope, it's your rise, so up and down first. So here, if I'm counting, I have a grand total of 1, 2, 3. So I went down 3 there, and 1, 2, 3, 4 went to the right, so that's a positive 4. This is my rise information. This is my run information. So this is another way to get your slope if you have a graph. Or again, you can get your own graph and plot them out and count them. But again, a lot quicker using the slope formula. But again, options here. So my slope is a -3 all over 4. That is my m value. So I've answered my 2 questions from my graph. Now I can just put them together. Y equals -3/4 x, and then we have that positive 2. And we are done. For our functions, so this is another way that we can give you information. If we give you some functions here. So here we have 2 functions. I'm going to do the first one, let you guys do the second one on your own here. This is a function of 0. That is going to give us our answer of 3. So our input was 0, our output, I almost said exput, but output is 3. So this is like our x. What do we plug in for our x? And that is our y answer. So just a different format, but we're still pulling the information from that. So my x information is 0, my y information is 3. Here's my other information. -4 is my x, and it comes out to a y answer of 11. So just changing it from a function into 2 coordinates. Then at this point, we don't have a graph, but again, we still have to answer our 2 questions. What is our slope? What is our y-intercept? Well, again, anytime anything starts with a 0, and then we have a number behind it, that is our y-intercept, which is going to be, so our b value in our equation is going to be that 3. So that's one question I had to ask myself. Second question is, yes, I have to do the slope now. So I'll do the slope formula because we don't have a graph. It's a lot easier. So 11 and a -4, and then 3 and 0. So we get 11 minus 3, which is going to give us 8. -4 minus 0 is still -4, and that comes out to a slope of -2, which equals our m. Kind of squeeze it in here. I have my 2 pieces of information now. Now I can put it together. Y equals slope -2x, and what's my b value? It is that +3. So I'll give you the second one there to work on your own. To do that, you can check that with the answers later. All right, we got some story problems here on the back. So a dance academy here charges $20 to use its facility and $25 per hour for instruction. It says write an equation that gives the total cost to learn dance at academy as a function of hours. So I'm writing it as a function of hours. So my function, my part that is changing here is the 25h. H represents how many hours, so every hour we're charged $25. We have an initial cost of 20. So when we have an initial cost, a one-time cost, that is your y-intercept. So that's the 20. So if I'm writing here as a function of my h is going to equal my 25h and plus that initial cost, $20. So there it is as a function. If I was writing it as just a slope-intercept form, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we'd swap that out for a y. So it would look something like this. Y equals our 25x plus our 20. So if you're swapping it out, but we want this one because it said write it as a function of h. Part B, find the total cost of 2 hours of dance instruction. So again, we're just substituting that in there. So it's our f of 2. What is that going to be with our equation of 25h plus 20? So it turns out to be f of 2 equals 25 times 2 plus 20. So our f of 2 hours is going to come out to 50 plus 20 more is 70. So 2 hours of instruction cost us $70. Because again, we have to pay the initial 20 and the 2 hours, 2 times 25. All right. Another situation here. Writing again our slope-intercept form. We can ask you to write an equation that passes through point 6,3 and then has a slope of 2 here. So mathematically, we're going to go through this. Some of our equation information is already answered for us. Our slope, we have an m of 2. So that part is already answered for us. Remember, we need to have 2 parts there. Notice in this one, we do not have any intercept because this is a 6,3. If it had been a 0,3, it would have been great. We could have just went right to the equation. We need now to solve for that intercept. So here's how we go through solving for it. You start with your slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. This m, we already know. We have an x answer and a y answer that we know. So our equation, we know 3 of the 4 unknowns. So we can substitute these 3 unknowns into this equation and solve for our intercept. So it'll look like this. Put in my y is 3, my slope is 2, my x is 6, plus b. And that was our goal. We need to know what that y-intercept is. So here we go, solving it. So cleaning it up, 3 equals 12 plus b. Subtract 12 from both sides, and b comes out to equal minus 9. That is my second piece of information. Once I have both pieces of information, we can write our equation. Y equals our m, that was 2, x, and again, usually it's plus b, but in this case, when we have a plus and a minus next to each other, the minus takes over, so minus 9 to clean it up all the way. So there is our line equation that will have a slope of 2, and we'll go through that point 6,3. As difficult as it will get, ladies and gentlemen, is the second one here. So writing a line equation, they have not given us the slope. They have not given us our y-intercept. This is why it's as difficult as it gets, because we have to solve for the slope and we have to solve for the y-intercept. All right. Yes, we do have one down here with functions, but it's exactly the same. And I'll actually have you guys do this one on your own when we get to it in just a second. And I'll just show you the minor difference there. So if we only have points and we're trying to come up with our slope-intercept form from that equation, again, start by finding the slope. So we can find a slope from any 2 points. So our slope information, minus sign. I'll take the second one again. So minus 4 goes on top, 2 goes on the bottom, my 0 goes on top, and my 3 goes on bottom. So calculating the slope 100% is very important to getting these questions correctly here. If you're not calculating this correct, all the rest of your work is not going to be good. I'll be giving you wrong answers. So we get minus 4 on the top, and we get a minus 1 on the bottom, which that comes out to a minus over minus is positive 4. So we have our slope. So it took us just a few moments to solve for our slope. And then this question becomes the same as the last one we just did. These are our points. I can choose which point I want to go through. Doesn't matter which one I want to use. I could use the second one or I could use the first one. But we're going to have to substitute into our y equals mx plus b form to solve for that intercept. So it goes through both of these. Pick one. I am going to go ahead and pick, I guess, the, let's go with the 3, I guess. We'll pick that. Doesn't really matter. So I'm going to put my x and y underneath there just for reference for myself, so that when I plug it into my y equals my mx plus b form, I'm putting and grabbing things that I know. So my y is 0, my slope is 4, my x is 3, and we're solving for that missing intercept, the b part. Cleaning this up, 4 times 3 is 12, plus b, all that equals 0. We subtract 12 from both sides, and minus 12 equals our b. That is the second part that I need there. So now we can put it all together. Y equals 4x and minus 12. Like I said, I'm going to let you guys do this one on your own. Again, the only difference here is I've put it in function form. So the first thing you need to do is write them as coordinates. So of an x of minus 2, you're going to get a y value of 10. As an x of 4, you're going to get a y value of minus 2. So we now have our 2 coordinates. You can redo it from there. Last one here. Carnival charges $2.50 per rider after an entrance fee. You paid a total of $22.50 after 6 rides. Excuse me. Write an equation that gives you the total cost as a function of the number of rides. Find the total here. So, breaking this down here, Carnival charges $2.50 per ride. Anytime you have a per, that's your slope. That's your changing. All right. So this is our 2.5x. That's our slope information there. That is changing. Here we have a grand total for our function. That's $22.50 after 6 rides. So if I'm writing that as a function, that's going to look like this. I'm going to start right underneath so I don't get into the top one there. So if we have our f of 6, so at 6 rides, we are going to pay $22.50. I'm just going to drop the 0 off because we're going to be calculating numbers there in a moment. Like I said, m is 2.5 there. And again, with that function, we get our x and our y. So at x of 6, the output there is 22.5. So that is my x and my y. I have my slope, I have my x and my y. Now we can start going into our substitution. So y equals mx plus b. Substituting in, 2250 equals 2.5 times x, which is 6, plus b. 2.5 and 6 is going to be 15, plus b equals 22.5. Subtract 15 from both sides. And right underneath this here a little bit, b comes out to 7.5. So there's my second piece of information. There's my first piece of information. So again, writing this as a function. So here, our function of x. You could use different letters if you wanted. I'm just using the x's still. Equals 2.5x and then plus that 7.5. I will let you solve the rest of this question here. So find the total of 15 rides. So thank you. If you have any questions, please reach out, ladies and gentlemen.